Hello once again. Welcome to Zephyr's BI and Analytics, where we learn by building BI projects. Today on this channel, I'm just going to be walking you through how I created the smartphones report. This is actually my submission for the Data DNA May 25 Data Challenge. As you know before now, I'm always big on participating in data challenges as I believe they are a great way for you to develop your Power BI portfolio. This is actually a 3-page report. We're currently looking at the executive summary. On the executive summary page, we can simply click on the info button to see the information. We can close this. We can come to the filters and select a particular KPI we want to look at also. Next, we have the brand performance, right? Where you get to see the different brands and how they are performing. Right down here, you get to see the top performing product in terms of revenue generated. And on the final page of the report, we have the region performance. Now, attached to the video description is a link to a OneDrive where you'll be able to download the data set you need to create this report. You'll also be able to download the background images you need to create this report. So, what are we waiting for? Open up your Power BI, download the data set. Let's begin creating this amazing report. So, also, if it's your first time on this channel, why don't you click on the subscribe button? Also, turn on your notification to stay updated when amazing content like this are uploaded on the channel. So once on my Power BI desktop, I'll quickly come to get data. It's an Excel data, so I'll say Excel workbook as usual. I have the data somewhere in my desktop. I have a folder called the phone sales folder. I'll just double click on the folder. So I have the phone sales data. I'll select and click on open. So once the navigator pane is open, you see I have 5 tables here. I have the facts table, which I'll check. I'll check the fact sales table. I'll check the DIM products table. I'll also check the DIM model image table. Then I'll finally check the DIM locations table. This is actually the data dictionary where you find information about each column in the data. You can actually check that, but much more later. We're not going to load this table to Power BI. Now, the original data from Data DNA came with actually the products table, the sales table, the product table, the locations table. I added this dimension model image table myself. So I'll quickly come to transform data. So this brings us to Power Query, where we quickly need to perform few transformations to make sure our model works properly, right? So we'll come to the fact sales table. On the fact sales table, you'll notice why we have the transaction ID, the date the transaction was carried out, the end of that month, the mobile model, the brand, the storage size, the color, the operating system, price. Then you have the unit sold, total revenue, sales channel, payment type, customer age group, gender. Then we have the country, city, longitude, and latitude, right? So if you come to the dimension products table, you find that we have the same information. So we have the model, the brand. So one transformation we'll quickly do is come to transform. We still want to use the first row as headers here. So we can have the mobile. This is the mobile model, the brand, the operating system, the storage, and the color. This information you have on the dimension products. You also find out that you have this information on the fact table also. So you can actually look at it here. You have the model, the brand, the storage, the color. This is actually a transformation we need to do now to make sure that our tables are well structured. If you also come to the locations, you find that we have city, we have country, we have latitude and longitude. This information is also on the facts table also. Now, let's quickly start with the dimension product. So this is dimension product. You have the model, right? Amazingly, each of this model you have here, right, is actually repeating. If you look at it here, we have iPhone 15 Pro. We also have iPhone 15 Pro, Apple, iOS, but the size is different and also have the same color. So we then need a unique identifier for the dimension product, which is more like our product ID. We need a unique identifier, which is more like our product ID. So the best thing we can do, is simply to combine maybe 2 or 3 columns together to give us that uniqueness we need. So what do? I would right click on this and make a duplicate, right? That's the model. I'll right click on the storage and make a duplicate. I'll also right click on the color and make a duplicate. Now, what I'm going to do is select the model, hold down my control, select the storage, select the color, I'll right click and say I want to merge these columns together. So I'll merge these columns together. I'll simply call this column product ID. That's the product ID and click on OK. So this becomes my unique ID for each of the products, right? This becomes my unique ID for each of the products. One thing, I don't want this underscore I have here, so I'll remove them. Okay, great. So we have a product ID now. So the next thing we need to do is come to the fact sales table, right? We'll do the same thing here. I would hold down my control. I'll merge the model, right? The size and the color. Right click, merge the columns together. This will automatically be my product ID also. Okay, so this is my product ID. I'll just click on OK. So where's the merge column? Okay, so this is the merge column product ID, right? So now that we have the product ID on the fact sales table, we then don't need information on the brand on this table anymore. We don't need information on the operating system on this table. We don't even need the information. Those two information, we don't need them on this table. So we can come to home, right? We can choose column, right? Choose columns. Then we uncheck the brand and the operating system. We don't need these two columns anymore. Also, the end of month, I don't think we need that column. So I'll uncheck it also and click on OK. So we're going to do the same thing for the locations, right? We already have the city and we have the longitude and the latitude. So we don't really need the information about the country, the city, the longitude and latitude on the facts table anymore. What we just need to keep is the city, because that automatically becomes the ID in the recents, because the cities are unique. If you come to the locations and check the cities, you actually discover that the cities are unique. We don't have any repeating city here. So we'll come to the fact sales now. Quickly come to choose column, choose columns, right? You uncheck the latitude, the longitude, and the country. So leave the city because we're going to connect to this using the city. We'll connect the fact sales to the locations using the city. Click on OK. So with this, I think that's all we need to do, right? We also be kind to check our data type to make sure everything is okay, right? Check your data type to make sure everything is okay. This is supposed to be date, so we have date there, so it's fine. This is supposed to be whole number, so we have whole number there, which is also fine. This is whole number also, we have whole number there, which is also fine. Then we have the sales channel. Sales channel is actually a text, so it's fine. The payment type is also a text, which is fine. If there's any other thing, we have the customer's age. We have the age. In the recents, we have the age already, and there's an age group created for us already. So I don't really think we need the age column, but for now, we'll just leave the age column there. So also we have the gender, so that is fine. Then of course we have the city. Okay, so our fact sales table is in order. We have the product table is also in order. We have the product ID, the model, the brand, the operating system, storage, and color. We also have the, so this is the dimension model image. Basically what I did here was just to, for each of the product, each of the model, I just got the image for the best selling model, which means the model that generated the highest revenue, right, for each of the brand. So let's quickly come to transform, use first row as headers here. So for the Apple brand, iPhone 15 Pro generated most of the revenue, right? So I only have the image for the iPhone 16 Pro here. So I have the image for the iPhone 16 Pro, which is I have the image in the white color, the black color, the green color. I'll tell you why I have these colors, right? The blue, red, and I also have some features of the iPhone 15 Pro, right? So for the Google brand, this is actually Pixel 9 Pro is actually the model that generated most of the revenue, right? So I have the different color for that model also. Same thing for the OnePlus 12 Pro, then the Z Fold 6 by Samsung, then the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. So that's just what I have, right? Because if you come to the DIM product, you find out that we have different colors for those phones. So for the data dictionary, like I said, if you want to take the data dictionary, really don't need it, but you can take it along and also make sure that you disable it when you want to go to Power BI. So one thing I can quickly do here is right click here and say I want to keep my um, report clean. I'll just move this to a new group and say this is fact table, right? Then I'll right click on the DIM product, move to a new group and say this is DIM tables. I'll take the DIM model image here, locations here. I'll right click on the dictionary and move to a new group and just call this dictionary. Okay, so I have everything structured, right? Then I'll also use my parameters like I've done before. I'll link my data source to a parameter just to make sure everything is intact, right? In case I send the file to someone, all the person needs to do is just to change the folder source and everything works perfectly fine. So to do that again, I'll just say new parameter, right? I'll simply call this the folder source, folder path or source, right? Which simply means I have to come to my desktop now. I have to go to desktop, I have to go to the phone sales folder and copy the folder path up here. This folder path, this is where I have the data. I'll simply copy it, go back to my Power BI and paste the folder path here. And remember to add the slash towards the end and click on OK. So I have the folder path. I'll create one final parameter. This is going to be the file, new parameter. So this is going to be the file path. Now, what this simply needs is the name of the file. So it's actually phone sales, right? .xl. Okay, so this is actually the name of the file. So if you come to my folder, this is the name of the file, the way it's spelled, exactly the way it's spelled here. So I'll click on OK. So what do I do next? I'll simply come to, first I'll right click on the folder part, move it to a new group. I'll say a new group. I'll just say data source, right? I'll also bring this to the data source group. I'll move my data source to be the first folder you see, just in case I send you this file, right? So I have the data source. Next, I'll expand my fact sales, right? On this fact sales, I'll simply come to source settings. I'll now change the source settings to advanced. This should be a parameter folder path. Next should also be a parameter, but no longer folder path, but file path, and click on OK. So, okay, so there's a problem. What is it saying? Source not found, file, phone sales. Okay, phone. Okay, it's actually sales, not sale. I made a mistake. So you see, it's actually phone sales, not sale. So all I need to do is simply come to my file path, manage parameter, and just add S to this phone sales and click on OK. And when I come back to my facts table, you can see now I've changed the source. I'll also change the source for the dimension tables also. So on the dimension product, I'll come to source settings. I'll simply come to advanced again. This should be a parameter folder. This also should be a parameter, but file paths. Click on OK. This is fine, right? I'll come to the dimension model image, go to source settings again. This should be advanced. This should be a parameter folder, also be a parameter, but file paths. Click on OK. It's just the same thing I'm doing. I'm making sure that the location is pointing to the folder, right? advanced. Now I have parameter, also parameter, then file path, click on OK. So basically, when I send you this file, all you need to do is just come to the data source here, change the folder path. If your file name is still phone sales, you are good. All you need to do is just change this folder path and everything is in order. So now that we're done with our data transformation, right? Everything is structured in place. We're done with our data transformation. We need to come to close and apply, load everything to Power BI, right? And complete our model. We also need to create a calendar table very quickly. We'll complete our model and also go ahead to start creating the report. So let's just give it time. Okay, great. So we have our entire tables in Power BI, right? You can see this is the dictionary. Eventually we'll delete this, we don't need it. We have the locations, the model image, the products, and of course the sales. So few things we'll quickly do. Let's come to our model, right? Okay, our model is already connected for us, but we're not going to end up with a star schema this time around. I think we're going to end up with a snowflake schema because this is our brand, this is our fact sales for sure, is connected to our locations. But let's validate that. Double click on this. Okay, it's connected via city, many to one, that's fine. Double click on this. It's connected via the product ID. Okay, so that's fine. Oh, this is supposed to be product ID, please. So it's connected via the product ID, so it's fine. Okay, so we have the dim model image, right? So the model image is looking at um, the products here. We can actually connect the model image to the fact here. We have to connect the model image to the DIM product here. So we can actually use two things to connect that. We can actually just use the product itself, right? Which is the model itself. Where is it? This is the model. We can connect the model together. So if I bring this model and connect it together, you should have a one-to-many relationship, right? You have just one set of model here. Of course, you have many models here. Is active and you can save this and it's fine. If we need to make any changes, I think we'll come back to that. So quickly, let's create our calendar table. So on table view, right, we just come to create a new table. I already have the DAX measure written out. So attached to the OneDrive, the link attached to the video description, the OneDrive, you also find this Word document there where you just find the DAX to create the calendar table already written out. So I'll just copy it, right? And I'll navigate back to the Power BI and just paste it. So what this is looking at is we're creating a dimension calendar, right? And we're picking the minimum date in the fact sales. That's the transaction date. Let's see what's here. So transaction date, and we're also picking the max date. So this data is actually just a year data, right? It's a year data. I think it's a year data. So this is our calendar, the DAX to create our calendar table. So I think the data is a year data. So once I have this done, I'll just check this. So I have my calendar created for me already. Quickly, I'll select the first column, right? And change this to dates. That's one thing I want to do very quick. Then where I have the short month, this is the short month, I'll sort by using the month number also. So those are the few things I want to do. Then we can come back to our model, right? Bring in our dimension dates, bring it up here. So we have all the dimension table up here. Then we can connect our transaction date to our dates column in our dimension calendar. So we have a one-to-one relationship, which is also fine. Like I said, we have data for just 1 year in our fact sales. So when you open up our fact sales, right, this is our fact sales. Open up the fact sales, you see that the transaction date, you have data for just 1 year, which is 2024, January to December 2024. You have data for just 1 year for the 12 months. So that is it. Few things we need to do again is come to our format page, page format, canvas setting, change this to custom, and I want this to be 1080 as usual. Give us more space, 1920. Okay, this is it. Next, like we want our measures to also be structured. Everything should be in one single place. So we simply come to enter data here, and we just create a quick table, call these calculations. Okay, calculations, load it. This is where we're going to write all our measures. So once we have everything in place, we are good to go, right? We are good to go. First thing we need to do, identify the key performance indicators for what we want to do in this case. So if you come to our fact table, which is our fact sales, what are the key performance indicators we're looking at here? The KPIs we want to track. First, we want to track the number of transactions, right? We want to track the units sold, and we want to track the revenue generated, right? Those are the things we want to track. Of course, we can track our price to see price increase or decrease also. And we can also track the unique number of products that have been sold, right? You have a lot of products. What's the unique number of products you sold in a particular month or in a particular all through the year 2024? So those are the things we're going to be tracking, right? So we quickly need to write measures to calculate all that. So quickly, I'm going to write a measure. I'll stay on my calculation, just right click, say new measure. So first we want to total transactions, right? That's the first thing we want to track, transactions. And this should be a distinct count of the transaction ID, like we have it already. On our fact sales, we have the transaction ID. I'll just do a distinct count very fast. Next, we want to also track what? The unique product sold. So unique products. So unique product sold. So this should be a distinct count, right? Also of what now? The product ID from the fact sales, because that's where we document um, our sales also. Next, we want to also track the units sold, total units sold. This will now be a sum, right, of the units. That's our fact sales units sold, right? Next, we also want to track the the revenue generated, right? So we simply say a sum revenue generated. That's the total revenue. We have the total revenue, so we sum the total revenue. And finally, we just want to track the average price, right? So this should just be average, right, of the price of the phones. So these are just the four key performance indicators we want to track. So next, like I said also, on the OneDrive, you find the background image, you find the PowerPoint file where I created the background. You can change the colors, you can do anything you want to do. But quickly, I'll bring in the background image. I'll simply just come to format here, Canva, then Canva background. I'll browse. I have the image somewhere in my images already. So that's phone. I'll open, changes to fit, reduce the transparency to 0. So you can see I have the placeholders for each of the KPIs I want to look out for also. So if we quickly look at the report we have here, right? This is the report we're trying to create here. We have everything here. You can see unique transactions, unique products sold, total units sold, total revenue, and average price. So let's go to Power BI. Okay, so first we bring in our total transactions, right? So I'll just bring in a KPI card. I'll probably just do for 2 or 3, you can actually complete it. So I'll bring this for total transactions, right? This is total transactions. So basically, um, we need to format this, come to format, call out value. Let's make this, I use area. Let's make this, we can use 25. It's fine. 25 should be fine. Or 30. Let's try 30 or 25, whichever one, it's fine. And also I'll turn off the category label, right? General effects, I'll turn off the background also. So this is looking at the total transactions, right? This is total transactions. I'll just bring it here. Also then we want to add a trend, right? We want to add a trend because we have data for just 1 year, January to December. We still can add that trend, right? So basically what we want to do is, watch what I want to do carefully. First, I'll simply bring in a clustered column chart, right? Use a clustered column chart. Next, I'll bring in the total transactions, what we're looking at. This is total transactions, right? Then I'll go to our calendar table and simply just bring in the short month, drop it on the x-axis. So I have something like this, right? So the next thing I then want to do is come to format, right? Columns. I'll come to the color where I have the color here. I'll simply just click on the conditional formatting and I'll say when the total transaction, I'll change this from gradient to feed value and not feed value, sorry. I'll change it from feed value to rules. I'm looking at total transactions, so I'll click on the drop down here, come to my calculations, go to total transactions. I'll simply say when the transaction is equal to 0, right? The color should be red. I'll pick this red color I have here. Then I'll simply say when it's equal to 100, I'll say this should be green. So basically what I'm doing is I want to get the lowest value, right? I want to get the lowest and the highest value. The lowest value will be colored red, the highest value will be colored green. The bar actually. So if I click on OK now, watch what I've done. The lowest bar will be colored red, while the highest bar will be colored green. So I'll click on OK. So you see, these bars, they're actually the same. That's why they are all colored green. While this bar and this bar is the same number of transactions. That's why it's colored red. That's the lowest transaction. So once I've done this, I can quietly then convert this to an area chart, right? So I have something like this. I can convert this to an area chart so it will look like what I have on the other end, right? So for this area chart now, one thing we need to do is come to format, x-axis. We don't need anything on the x-axis, it's already off, but I would expand this quickly. Just come to the x-axis, I'll turn it off, everything off. On the y-axis too, I'll turn off the title, turn off everything. Then for the chart itself, I'll turn off the title. Then eventually, I'll come to the line, right? I'll come to the style, I'll change this to smooth, right? Then for the color, I'll pick a line color. I can't remember the color I picked, but eventually say we want to make the line this color. Let's pick a lighter shade. Let's try this. Yeah, something like this works perfectly fine. So reduce this also. Next, I'll come to general effects. I'll turn off the background also. So I just need to bring this down here, right? Also, I need to take this up a bit because we need to have what we call the month-on-month change, right? So just fix this here. I'll fix this here. Make sure it's right where I want it to be. Yep. Then I'll also fix this up here, right where I want it to be also. Next, I'll just bring in a text box, right? I want this text box to speak to total transactions or unique transactions. Like I said, unique transactions, right? I'll change the font style to area. I'll make it 14. Okay, let's make it 12, right? And I'll come to effects, put off the background also, reduce the size, bring it up here and just drop it here. Make sure it's in place. Then make sure this fits in quite well. So this is looking at the unique transactions. We have 303 unique transactions, right? That's the number of transactions we have. Also then, I wanted a situation where if you have a slicer, right? And let's say we bring in our month, with a short month, this, and I come to format, slicer settings, I click on drop down. So I wanted a situation when you select a particular month, say January, you see what happens now. So which means we need this slicer, format this slicer, click on this slicer, come to format, edit interaction. We don't want you to interact with these visuals we have here. So if you select a particular month, right? Go back to format again, click on edit interaction. If you select a particular month, we want to also show the month-on-month change compared to the previous month. That's something we also want to show. So I'll make sure this slicer is here. I'll just clear it for now. So when we have our unique transactions, next thing we want to do, the unique number of product that was sold. We already wrote a measure for that. So everything we're doing is just a duplicate. I'll select this card visual, make a duplicate of it, just Control C, Control V. I'll make sure it's well aligned also. I'll just uncheck the total transaction, replace it with unique product sold, right? That's the unique product sold for that for the year. So I also select my title here, Control C, Control V. I'll just bring this, make sure it's well aligned also. I'll just rename this to unique products. So unique products sold, right? So unique products is actually products because it's more than one. So increase the size a bit. Great. So also same thing for our thread line. I'll make a copy of this, just bring it here also, right? What do I want to do next? I'll replace this from total transaction. I'll replace it with unique products sold, right? But there's something I need to go check, right? I'll need to come back to format. I'll come to columns. Where is it? Now, if you find out, if I come to lines, I can't do that conditional formatting with the line, right? That's why initially I changed it to a bar chart, right? So if I change it to a bar chart, come to format now, columns, I'll come to click on the conditional formatting. This is no longer speaking to total transaction, it's speaking to unique product. So I have to change this. I'll change this to all data calculations, unique product sold. If you don't change it, it'll be speaking to total transaction. So everything remains the same. I'll just click on OK. Once I'm done with that, I can simply select this, right? I can convert it back to a line chart. That's area chart actually, right? So you see, convert it back to an area chart. So all you need to do is just change the color. Come to format, lines, and color, just change the color to the color we selected before now. And you see, we have the same thing. So we're good. So also, we also need to make sure the interaction doesn't work with this also. So select this slicer, come to format, edit interaction, and make sure it doesn't edit with this. So finally, I'm just going to create one more, then you're going to work on the rest. That's the unit sold, right? So next, I have the unit sold. I'll make a copy of this. Just bring it here as usual. I'll just uncheck this from unique product sold to unit sold, right? And I also want to format this color value, display unit should be none, right? And unit sold, I'll just add a comma to it also. So you have it 18,000. So I'll make a copy of our title, bring it here, make sure it's well aligned with what we have already, right? So this is units that were sold or total units sold. So this is total units sold, right? And make sure this is in order. I'll just fit this well. Okay. Okay, great. So you have the units sold also. Remember also we still need the thread line. So I'm just going to make a copy of this. Control C, Control V. I'll bring this here, right? Also, when I check from unique product sold and replace it with units sold, I have the trend like I want, but remember there's something wrong. So I have to change this to a bar chart again, come to format, come to columns, click on the conditional formatting. I don't know if there's another way to do this, but instead of unique product sold, I'll check all calculations and say units sold and click on OK. So once it's this way, of course, we can convert it back to the area chart and we can just go back to format again. Lines, then we just scroll down to where we color, change the color to this, and we're good. So you can see. I think one thing I want to do is I want to reduce the width of the line. So I can come to lines, reduce the width to say 2. I think 2 is fine. I'll reduce the width to 2, reduce the width to 2, reduce the width to 2. So go ahead and create for revenue generated here. Then you have the average price here. You also create the trend also. Remember to click on this slicer, right? Come to format, edit interaction, and make sure it doesn't edit with this thread, this visual we have here. So next, we need the month on month change, right? If you come to the Word document. I already wrote the measure out for you. You don't need to stress yourself, but I'll simply just make a copy of it and go back to Power BI and just, so what I'm quickly going to do, these measures I've written here, I want to put them in a particular folder. So I'll come to model view, right? I'll select one of the measures, which is units sold, right? Expand these properties, come to this display folder. I'll select the measure units sold. I just want to call these measures I've written, I want to call them KPIs, right? So I'll drop everything on the KPI folder. Okay, so now I want to write another measure. I'll right click on calculation, say new measure. I'll simply paste the measure I copied, which is the month on month, right? Don't worry, everything is not in place yet. So this is it. Okay, I don't think I copied this well, but it's okay. Okay, so yeah, so you have the measure there already, right? This is the measure. You have it here already, right? You just can copy it. But the measure is actually calculating the revenue change, the month-on-month revenue, right? So we want to calculate the month-on-month revenue, transactions and everything. So first, I'll just say month-on-month, month-on-month, right? I'll say transactions. This will be equal to. So the first variable is simply looking at the current date, right? The second variable is calculating the previous month, which is fine. The third variable here, previous month value. So instead of this to be revenue generated, remember this is our calendar table. So I need to fix this, make sure it's referring to our calendar table. So this is dim calendar. How did we spell our calendar here? Oh, our calendar doesn't have an underscore here. So to fix that, just delete this space, just delete the underscore space. That fixes it. Delete the underscore space. That fixes it. Delete the underscore space. So for example, if you created your calendar using the underscore, you're fine. You don't need to do anything. So this is not speaking to revenue generated, right? We're looking at, we want to simply calculate what? The total transactions. So I'll remove this from total revenue generated to total transactions. What else? The current value should be speaking to total transactions also. So I'll just uncheck these to total transactions. Okay, so this is everything you need to do. So what I've done for transactions now, you just need to do it for um, unique product sold, revenue generated, um, units sold, and average price. Everything you have here. So you're basically changing just two things. What are you changing? You are changing total transactions to the KPI. Instead of month-on-month transaction, you now have month-on-month units sold. So I'm just going to check this, right? While I'm still on the model view. Note, I'm still on the model view. There's a reason I'm still on the model view. So once I have this done, I'll select this month-on-month transaction I have here. I'll come to this display folder and just call it MOM. So I can have all the month-on-month transaction in that folder, all the month-on-month KPIs, measures I want to write, the 5 of them, I'll have it on that folder. So on the table also, this column 1, I'll click on it and simply just delete it from the model, say yes. So let me go back to the report view so you see what we have clearly. So up here, you have your KPIs, right? Look at the KPIs. If you expand the calculations, you have the KPI, which is the first set of measures we wrote. Now, if you expand this, you have the month-on-month KPI, which is the second set of measures we're writing. So what next do we need to do? We just bring in a card visual, right? And we bring in our month on month. So now you're seeing the month on month is showing no selection or data. There's a reason for this because we don't have any month selected. So before now, we write a measure when you don't have any month selected, you just see maybe an arrow going up or an arrow coming down or a value there, but we don't want this. If you've not selected any month, let it be no selection or no data, right? So we format this now. All we need to simply do is come to format, call out value, this should be area, make this 14, right? Turn off the category label, go to general effects, turn off the background, just reduce the size, bring this here. Okay, So now watch what happens. By the time I come and decide to select February, you can now see the month on month change. And it's saying 6.5% less. There was a drop in unique transactions, right? From January to February, 6.5% versus January. So instead of just saying versus previous month, we're actually telling you the month versus January, so you'll be aware. So if you come to March, you can actually see there was an increase again, right? In February it was 29, in March it was 31, so there was an increase plus 6.9% versus February. That's basically what we're doing. I'll save this, right? So we can just, I'll just create for unique product sold and total units. Then also you can complete for the rest also. So next is the month on month for the unique product and the total units. So like I said, you don't need to do much anymore. All you need to do is just expand your month on month folder, select the one for the month on month transactions. I'll just make a copy of this, Control C. I'll right click on the month on month folder again, create a new measure, and I'll simply just paste. This is no longer speaking to transactions, rather this is speaking to products, right? And I only need to change two things. First, I'll change this from total transactions to unique products, right? Which is unique products sold. And I'll change this one finally to also unique products sold. That's all. Those are the two things I need to change. And I just commit this. What do I need to do next is select this first one I created already. Just Control C, Control V. I'll just make sure it's well aligned also, right? And just come here on check month on month transaction and replace it with products. You are still getting no selection of data because I've not selected any month. If you select January, we don't have a previous month. That's why it's no selection of data. So finally, I'll make one more copy of this so you can complete the rest. Like I said, I'll just make another copy again. I'll right click on the month on month folder, new measure, and I'll just paste this. This is no longer unique products, rather we're looking at units sold. So units sold. Then finally, I'll also change this here, units sold. That's all. So, oh, remember to rename this. This is not products, month on month, units. Okay, so that settles it. I'll make a copy of this again, Control C, Control V. I'll just bring this here, make sure it's well aligned with what I have before. I'm not sure, is it? I'll make sure it's aligned with what I have before. So what do I need to do? Uncheck the products, replace it with units. That's all. So what happens now if I select February, you see the change. If I select March, you also see the change. Remember, it's not interacting with everything we have done here. So I'll make sure to keep this slicer close by. I can just clear the filter. So you can go ahead and complete for revenue generated and for average price. You already know what to do. Quite easy. Next, I wanted to focus on three major KPIs, right? I want to focus on the transactions, the units sold, and the revenue generated. So I want to move between those three KPIs. So what that simply meant was I would come to modeling and simply say I want to create a new parameter, field parameter. What do I want to call this parameter? I want to call it KPIs, right? What are the KPIs I'm looking out for? I'll expand my KPI folder. I'm looking at the unique transactions, right? The units sold and the revenue generated, and I'll click on create. Of course, I want to add a slicer. I'll click on create. So now that I have my KPI parameter created, you know why I created that. So the first measure we want to look at is our customer base, right? We have the age group of the customers already. We have the age group of the customers. We simply want to see, okay, these customers that we have, right? Who are the customers, the number of transactions, which customers are, of course, performing the transactions, buying more and generating more revenue. So if I simply come and take on the bar chart here, or yeah, bar chart, and I bring it here, right? I simply want to come to the facts table, take on my customer group. That's the not customer gender, please. That's the age group of the customers age group. Now, instead of adding any other thing, I'd rather add the KPI, the feed parameter I created just now. And this is the feed parameter I created. So I'll select the feed parameter, I'll drop it on the x-axis. So this is what I'm going to get. The reason I'm getting this is because I've not selected any parameter. So this is my KPI parameter. I should select total transaction. So now I can see the total transaction by the particular age group, the age group that perform the most of the transactions, right? 26 to 33. Yeah, what of units sold? Let's see what units sold sales. 23 to 26 to 33 also. What about revenue generated? 26 to 33 also. That's great. So I can switch between transactions, units sold, and revenue generated. That's what I can do. So what do we want to do for the age group also? I can actually see that it's not sorted, right? I can easily decide to move. I want to see the age group by the best performing age group also, or I want to see it in reverse, which simply means from youngest to oldest or oldest to youngest, or I want to see it just the way we have it here. It's entirely up to you. I think any one of them is actually fine. Any one of them I think is fine. But what happens if we really want to sort it from youngest to oldest so you can actually see it clearly? So I'll simply come to format, right? Not format now, home, transform data, transform data. We just create a conditional column for that and we sort it with it and that's good to go. So on this column, right, this age group column, let's see, we have 18 to 25, 26 to 33, 34 to 41, 42 to 49, 50 to 57, right? So 18 to 25, what I'll simply do is I wanted to take a screenshot of that. So what do we do? Okay, let's just create a conditional column, right? Add a conditional column and simply say, um, this is, let's just say sort age, right? So age group is 18 to 25, right? Should I say contains? Let's say contains 18 to 25. We can sort this as 1, right? Then add another one if the age group contains, is a text actually. So what's the next? 26 to 33. 26 to 33. We can say this is 2. Add another if the age group contains, what next? That's 34 to 41. 34 to 41. We should say this is 3. Then add another age group contains again 42 to 49. 42 to 49. This is 4. What other age group? 49. After 49, I think we have one in 50 to 57. Yeah, 50 to 57. So add another one. Age group is contains 50 to 57. 50 to 57. This should be 5. Then I can say this should be 6. Every other age group, that's the last age group, which is 58 to 65, should be 6. And click on OK. So I have a new column here. So I'll just make sure this is whole number. I'll sort this eventually. So I can come to home, close, and apply very quickly. Okay, great. So I can come to table view here, right? Navigate back to my fact sales, click on my age group column and just say sort column using sort age. So this sorts it and I can come back to my report view. I can see sort now, sort axis using customer age group. So you can sort it from youngest to oldest or oldest to youngest. So it looks this way. So this is how it's going to look, right? This is how it's going to look. So we can look at it from the youngest to the oldest, right? So let's quickly format this and move on. We can come to format grid lines. We don't need the grid lines. X-axis, Y-axis. For the Y-axis, we don't need the title, right? We can change the text style, consistent, make this 12. 12. Color should be black, right? For the X-axis, we can put off the value, put off the title, right? Then finally put on the data label, right? Then for the data label position, okay, it's outside, should be outside end, right? Then for the values, revenue generated. Remember to make this area, let's make it 10, change the color to be black. Display units, should we say none? No, we can't say none. Let's just say 1,000. Well, what do we use? If we say none, it's going to display this way, then probably need to add a comma to it. So this is looking at what revenue generated. Let's add a comma and see how it looks like. Okay, so revenue generated is in, okay. It's actually up to us to say this should be in million, but let's add some decimal places. Let's say 2 or 3. Okay, so that's fine. So it will eventually switch to units sold and total transaction. We can switch to total transaction. Now you see it's in million. You can switch to units sold and you can see revenue generated. This is not what we want actually because we already converted it. So I'll go back. I'll simply come to values and display unit. I'll say auto. I think I'll use the auto and leave it this way. So when I say units sold, it automatically switches to whichever one. Total transaction, you can actually have it the number of transactions. So decimal places is 0, but I really don't want decimal places for total transactions. So let's see. I think I have to format it the other way around too. I don't want to do it there, but eventually, let's say decimal places should be 1 or 0. Okay, so if we come to units, so it's still going to be 0. If we come to, so the reason I'm trying to make sure that I had a decimal place is because this is 2 million, this is 2 million. There are different bars, which is wrong. Somebody drew my attention to this. So I'll simply just leave it at 2 decimal places, right? I'll leave it at 2 decimal places. So it's fine. Now you can see clearly that this is actually 1.97 million and this is 1.69 million. So I'll select this, come to general effects, just turn off the background also. The next thing I did was, I think I brought in a card visual here, right? This is a card visual to show male, female, and other genders. So we just have a card visual here. And this was supposed to just show the KPI, right? We have selected, and I'll come to format, call out value. This should be area. I think this should be 16, right? This is looking at revenue generated. We know it's revenue generated we're looking at, but what I wanted to then do was expand the fact table, bring in the gender column. That's the gender, drop it on the filter. This should be male, right? So this should only be looking at male, right? Call out value. We still need to make this auto 2 decimal places, right? This should be looking at male only. So I'll put off the category label, right? This category label, I'll put it off. Then I can go ahead and put on the title and just say male. And of course, I'll align it at the center, change this to be area to probably make it 16, right? So you have male. This is revenue generated by male, right? Make a copy of this, revenue generated by female. Make a copy of this, revenue generated by other gender. So filter this to female, filter this to others, right? So rename this to title. This should be female, female. Why this should be others. Great. So eventually, if we change our KPI to total transaction, we're still going to change. We change to units, so everything changes. Revenue generated, everything changes also. So let's just make this a little bit okay. I can actually just position this here, select the 3 together, come to format, align and distribute vertically. So it's in order like this. So this is for the revenue. This is for the KPIs for the age group. You can see already we're looking at customers here. So let's quickly just go ahead and create the rest visuals. I'll make a copy of this, right? Bring it down here. What I want to do is just expand this, right? And we're not looking at customer group, rather we're looking at, I'll come to our dimension locations. What are we looking at? We're looking at the different countries, right? So India, Turkey, Bangladesh and Pakistan. So currently we're looking at units sold. We can switch to transactions, units sold, revenue generated, everything changes. Okay, why I'll make a copy again. Why here we're simply looking at the different brands. So I'll uncheck the country, come to the dim product, I'll select the brand. So we're looking at the different brand performance also. Okay, so we're almost done with the page one. I'll make a copy of this again. Okay, now we don't need a copy of this. Rather, I'll make a copy of a donut chart. I'll make a donut chart here. I'll drop the KPIs on the value. Here, we're simply looking at, I'll come to our fact sales. We're looking at the sales channel. I'll drop it on the details. So we have the different sales channel. So I'll come to format, slicers, spacing. Okay, we'll come back to this. The legend, I want to put off the legend, right? Then detailed label, I want just the category and the percent total. So I want the category and the percent total also. Expand to the values, change this to area also, increase the size, right? Let's make it 10, change the color to black. And remember to come to general effects, turn off the background, just increase the size a bit, make sure it's well fitted. I'll make a copy of this now, right? Bring it here and replace the sales channel with the payment type. So I have something like this. Then finally, what we have done here is a line chart. So I'll bring in the line chart, right? Down here. Next, I'll come to our calendar, right? Remember, what we're using for all these visuals we're creating is the KPI parameter we're using, so we can easily switch. If we switch to transactions, everything on this report is looking at transactions. If we switch to units sold, we're looking at the units sold across. So units sold, customer, country, brand, different sales channel, the payment type. So while down here for the line chart, we're simply looking at the KPI. We come to the x-axis, right? No, the x-axis is actually, we'll drop the KPI on the x-axis, right? Then come to our dimension calendar, pick the short month, drop it on the x-axis. So this is what we're going to get from January to December. But we want to look at the units sold. We're currently looking at the units sold. Whatever we're looking at in our trend line, we want to look at it by the sales channel, right? The sales channel, which simply means we expand our fact sales and bring in the sales channel on the legend. So this is the sales channel. We need to format this. So I'll come to general effects. I'll turn off the background very quickly. Visual, the x-axis, I'll turn off the title, change this to area, increase this to 10 or 12, change the color to black. The y-axis, I'll turn off the title, expand the values, make it area, change, we say 12, color to black also. So everything is well aligned. Then finally, we'll come to the line. I would say should be solid line, of course. Linear should be smooth. Reduce the width to probably 2 also. Please come back to the x-axis. Make sure you turn off the title. So this is what we're going to get. Then for the grid lines, I want to turn it off. I don't want the grid lines. So this is exactly what I have in my first page of my report. For this parameter KPI we have here, we just need to convert this to a drop down. Slicer settings, this should be a drop down. So we can select a particular KPI in units sold. Also for the slicer settings, right? Slicer settings for this KPI, we should always ensure that selection, we have a single select, one particular parameter should be selected at all times. So you can't select two parameters at the same time. One particular parameter should be selected at the same time. So you're looking at revenue generated. This is the month slicer. Now, if you look at all our chart label, you see speaking to revenue generated by customer age group, revenue generated by country, revenue generated by brand, revenue generated by sales channel, revenue generated by payment type, then revenue generated by, this is saying short month. So I'll simply just come back here and um, change this to month instead of short months. Yeah, so you see revenue generated by month and sales channel, right? So one thing I'll do, remember we have our month slicer here. Select our month slicer, come to format, edit interaction, make sure it doesn't interact with this thread line chart here, and uncheck edit interaction. So this is we're almost done with page one. So we simply just need to apply the same colors. So I'll go grab the color code. So we'll apply the colors to the report and make sure it's well aligned. So for the colors, I'll simply navigate to the old report so we can simply copy the colors from there. For this, I'll select, just come to format, bars. I'll copy the color code. The color code is actually EEDFA2. I'll copy this. I'll navigate back to this report. Just select this. Come to format, bars. I'll drop the color code here. Okay. Next, I'll go for this. Copy the color code also. So the color code for this is ECB485, ECB485. I'll come back here, select more, paste this ECB485. Next, let's see. The color code for this is actually one of these gray colors we have here. So yeah. So why for the donut chart, right? Let's go back. So for the donut charts, okay, interesting. The EMI, I'll copy the color code, navigate back here, slices. Nope, this is the EMI. EMI, I'll paste the color code here. So it's actually EB895F, right? I'll go back. Let's grab the other one. This is EMI. Credit card is a lighter version. So that's FOA 787. Okay. I'll just come back here, credit card, and paste the color code here also. F0A7850, actually, not O. Okay, let's quickly go back, make this fast. Come back here, so I'll get the cache. This is the last one I need. F5C4AF, so I'll copy this color code also. Go back here, this is for cache. This is for cache. I'll drop the color code here. Then finally, I'll just pick one of the ash colors we have here. Okay, great. So let's do the same thing for the sales channel. For the sales channel, the first color code we have is online. I'll just copy this, then come back here. Online, I'll paste this also. That's E8D166. I'll go back for the other one. That's retail store. I'll copy the color code also. Go back here, retail store, paste this. Then finally, the last color, that's partner. Not here, please. Partner. I'll copy the color code for the partner. Then finally, navigate back to our report and paste the color code also. So 6666. Okay, one thing we can quickly do is the spacing. We can reduce or increase the spacing, whichever one, right? You can increase, reduce the spacing for the donut chart. This is 72. Let's just say we want to use 70 and we want to use 70 here also. Okay, so for the color code for the online partner, we do the same thing for the line, right? We can come to, this is online, and I come to color, I'll select that same color, right? I'll change this to retail store. I'll select the same color for the retail store. So this is the retail store color. Then finally, I'll take the partner and select the same color for the partner. So it matches with what we have on the donut chart. This is exactly the page one of the report, right? So the final thing we need to do here is these slicers I have here, right? So the slicers are supposed to be here. Ideally, I think I use the bookmark to hide and show the slicers. If you want to do that, you can do that, but we can just leave the slicers open here. So basically what we just need to do is simply just come to insert shapes. Let's just bring in a line. This is a line. We just drop the line here, take it to the end. Just reduce the size of the line, bring it down here a bit. Okay, so what I simply want to do is just reduce this, come to style, turn off the fill, come to border, just take a gray color here. Okay, so this is the line we have here. So first I'll pick the parameter, right? Remember parameter. So I'll come to format, I'll turn off the header, right? I'll just bring this here, making sure it's fitted well in here. Okay. Um, what I want to do now is simply select this slicer and come to format, general, effects. The background is on white. So what I'll do is I'll either send the slicer forward or send the line backward. So I can select the line and say I want to format, send backward, send backward. Hope I didn't click on any other thing. So I'll send the line backward. Sorry, this is not what I want. I'll send the line backward so I can have the slicer in front of the line. So something like this. This is what I want. So you can see I can now see my slicer in front. So I'll do the same thing for the month slicer, right? I'll just put it somewhere here. I'll also turn off the header and just reduce the size also and drop it here. Make sure it's well aligned with what I have already. Okay, so these are the slicers we are using for the report. Okay, there's a reason I'm giving this space, right? So you can see that there's no what is it called? You don't really have a label to the slicer yet. So I want to make sure we have a label to these slicers. So what we are going to simply do is we can just take this our text we have here already. Control C, Control V, and bring it here. But the one thing we'll do is come to effects, put off the background, put on the background, not off. Put it on and just say select KPI. So this should be select KPI. Select KPI. So this should be select KPI, right? So I'll just reduce this. No, 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 no. Let's Control Z. Let's see what happened. Yeah, so this is select KPI. I'll bring this closer to the KPI. So it's simply telling you to select a KPI, right? So I'll make a copy of this again. I'll bring it here. And this will be select month actually. So this is select month, right? So you can select month and select your KPI also. I'll make sure everything is well fitted and aligned. Okay, so you have the select KPI, then you can select the month. So you can select the slicer once more. Just come to format very quickly, values, change the style, area, the value is black already. So same thing with this area black. Okay, so finally I can just make a copy of this text, right? And I just drop it somewhere here and I'll just refer to these as filters or slicers. I'll just say filters, right? Filters. Okay, so that's just it. I think that's all. You can select a KPI, select the month, right? You can select the month also, and you do your reports. So the one thing we need to do, right? The one thing we need to do is to have our clear all slicers, clear all filters or slicers button here, right? So I can just insert button and a blank button, right? Bring it here. Style, I'll just style and I'll put on the text. On default, I'll say clear all filters. Oh, we already have a slicer for that too, but I'll just say clear all filters though. Clear all filters. We have a clear all slicers button actually. I'll just say clear all filters. And the fill, I'll put it on, should be white. White is fine. Or I'll just use one of these fill here, lighter fill. I'll make sure this is format, bring to the front. Okay, doesn't look like what I want, but let's say we come to insert and buttons. We have the clear all slicers buttons. This is how the buttons look like. It's exactly what we have already, so I'll just remove it. So what I'll do is change the style here, right? The fill. Let's say I make it dark or okay, something like this. This style is on default, so what else? I don't want the line to affect this, so this is what we have, right? One thing about the border, I'll just reduce the border, come to the border. I can just turn it off actually. So I turn it off. So this is what we have. But now this is, we have revenue generated. We don't have any month selected. We don't have any other thing selected. So what I'll quickly do is come to view, come to bookmarks and just add a bookmark and just say this bookmark should be reset page one, right? So I'll click on this clear all filters, right? Turn on the action, expand, say the action should be to a bookmark and it should be reset page one. That's what I'll do. I'll go back. So basically what I'm saying is if I come back and select a particular month, right, I can just click on reset clear all filters and it resets my report. Let's say I select June, right? Even if I change the KPI to, let's say, units sold, right? And if I click on clear all slicers, it resets the entire report to its original state. Remember up here, you then need to add your titles and every other thing you need to add. So basically, all you need to do is just copy everything here, right? I have the information button and what is it called? Yeah, so these are just labels, titles. You can use a different what is it called? You can use a different logo. This logo, I just went online and got the logo, not like it's anything special. I just got the logo online. There's nothing special to it. So you add your title, text box, January. This is just a logo I got, right? Then while here, we then need to add what we call our page navigator. You know how to fix that already. So this page is more like my overview page, right? Which is this sales overview. Then, of course, the next page is where we have the brand performance, which is where we're going to be going to next. So let's quickly create the brand performance page. So for page two, which is the brand performance, I'm just quickly going to make a duplicate of this first page, which is the overview. I'll make a duplicate of it. Okay, so I'm going to remove everything I have here. I'm going to remove this, this, and this. Next thing I'll do is to bring in the background. So I'll come to format, Canva background. I'll replace it. Remember, you have this background image in the OneDrive already. Font 2, open from normal to fit. Great. So I'll simply bring this here. We are still working with the KPI parameter we created, right? The KPI parameter we created, was still working with it in page 2, but we're just going to be changing a couple of things. So instead of looking at the revenue by the brand here, we're simply going to replace the brand, come to dimension products, replace it with the model. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to replace it with the model. Also, for the line chart we have here, right? I'll expand this. We're also simply going to replace the sales channel with the brand. We'll drop the brand on the legend also. So we have something like this. So one thing we're quickly going to do, I'm going to make a duplicate of this slicer. Control C, Control V. I'll just bring this here. Make sure it's well aligned also. Okay. And I'm going to change this slicer from month to brand. So ideally, what we expect to do here is you simply select a particular brand, then you see the details about that brand. But we don't want this slicer to interact with this line chart we have here. So I'll simply come to Format, Edit Interaction, and say don't interact with this line chart we have down here. I'll click on Edit Interaction again. So this is what we have. Remember, I'll also make a copy of this, Control C, Control V, and I'll simply say select brand, right? So this will be select brand. Okay, so you can select brand, select month, select KPI. Next, here we actually have the image of the phones, the models. So basically what we're doing here is we can't display the entire image, right? For any brand selected, we want to show the particular model that generates most of the revenue for that brand. That's basically what we want to display here. So what I'll quickly do is to bring in a table very fast, right? I'll bring in a table. I'll just place it here. Now let's go to our table. Let's go to table view and look at our dimension model image. You actually discover that we have the images for the models. So for Apple, iPhone 15 Pro is actually the model that generates most of the revenue. So we want to display the different images for iPhone 15 Pro. We have the white color, the black, the green, the blue, the red, and so on. We also want to display the features. So basically what I'm going to do is, ideally we should unpivot this, but we're not going to unpivot it here. So quickly what I'm going to do is come to modeling and say we want to create a new parameter. We want to create fields. This is going to be, let's just call this parameter model color or model color. Then the fields I'm going to add here, I'll come to the dim image. I'm going to select the black URL, the blue URL, scroll down, select the green URL, select the white URL, and select the red URL. I'll also check the slicers also, then I'll click on create. So I have the URL images here already. That's the basically more like the link to the URL images. So one thing we quickly also need to do is come to expand the model image, select the black URL, come to data category, make sure it's image URL. Do the same thing for the blue URL, make sure the data category, change it to image URL. Do the same thing for the green URL, change the data category to image URL. Then for the red URL, do the same thing. And for the white, you do the same thing. Change the data category to image URL. So here, I'm simply now going to drop the KPI. That's the model color we created. I'm going to drop it on the column here. So now I have all the images displaying, right? I have all the images displaying. But what we want to achieve is simply when we select a particular brand, say Apple, we just need just the image for the Apple brand to display here, right? You can actually see what we have here now is the Apple brand, right? We have the Apple brand for black, blue, green, white, and red. Ideally now, when you now come to select a particular color here, you see just the black. You select another color, you see the blue. So in order for you to also make sure you achieve this, right, this brand, make sure you check your model view, right? Make sure everything is in order, right? The DIM product is connected to the DIM model image also. So for this, what I'm quickly going to do is to select this now. I'll just expand it also. I'll come to format, image size, right? I'll probably just increase the image size to 400. So I have something like this here, right? I have something like this here. So why for this model color, I'm going to select the model color again. Then when I have everything here, instead of saying black URL, blue URL and all that, I'm just going to take the first letter. So I'm just going to quickly edit this here. This should be B, this should be B, this should be G, this should be white, that's W, white, this should be red, that's R. So I have something like this. Okay, so B, B, G, W, and R. Ideally, I'm now going to change this from this old slicer to the new one, right? Button slicer. So I have something like this. Next, I'm going to come to format, layout. I want this to appear as a single row. Then I want 5 because we have 5 colors. So we have something like this, right? Also, I want the shape to be different. So I'll come to shape and say this should be sniped both end. No, 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 no. I want it to be rounded rectangle. Then I'll simply increase this to 50%, right? So I have something like this. Okay, so you can actually change the color from black to blue to green to white to red. Now, if you change the brand, say you select OnePlus, everything changes to OnePlus. You can change from white, green, blue, black. If you also change the brand again to Samsung, everything changes to Samsung here, black. This should come up. This is black, this is blue, this is green, this is white, and this is red. Just like that. So what we need to do is simply have this now, right? Come to format, come to slicer settings, no, general, turn off the title, effects, turn off the background also. Then simply make sure resize this. We just bring this down here. So it's more like a button, right? Reduce the size a bit. Okay, so this fits properly. So I have this here. Okay, so now you can select any other color. But one thing we'll make sure to do when we select this slicer, we need to come to format, slicer settings, single select, right? Also need to put on force selection, right? Which means one must be selected at all time. You can't select two at the same time, right? One must be selected. You can't select two at the same time. So if I hold down my control, try to select another one, I won't be able to. I must only just select one. So this is what we're doing here. Also, we need to select this table, right? Come to format, right? Um, Now that we're on black, I'll come to specific column, put on everything, and say the text should be white. Once we're on blue, I'll do the same thing, right? Select the table, put on everything. Once we're on blue, text should be white also. Once we change to green, I'll do the same thing, select the table again, put on everything, apply to header, change the text to white, select white, um, select the table again, put on everything, change the text color to white, and finally select red, select the table once more, put on everything, change the text color to white. Also, I'm going to come to format, that's the style preset. Default should be none. We don't want anything. Expand the grid, put off the grid. Come to grid also. Borders, just check and uncheck the border so you don't have anything. You have a plain table like this. Is a table, but of course, we're just showing our image here. We have the Samsung brand selected. Also, then what we want to just display here, right, is the name of the phone and the revenue generated. So currently we have the Samsung. This is actually the Z Fold 6. Then we also want to just display the revenue generated by the Z Fold 6 here. So we need to bring in a card visual once more. This is just the card visual. Then what we want to show here is the name of the phone, right? Which means we can come to our DIM product and select the model. So what do I have here? This is Galaxy A55, which is wrong. So, but what we can do, select this model, right? This is referring to the model. So what I'll do is simply expand my calculations, come to revenue, drop the revenue generated here, right? I'll go back again. This is a bit a long process. I'll take the model again. I'll drop it on the filter, right? And I'll simply say top N one. I'll say one, top one. Then I'll say by um, revenue generated also. I'll simply just expand the KPI and say by revenue generated and apply. So I get the name of this very phone. Ideally, I don't even think we need this first revenue generated. So let me do this again so you get it clearly. I'll simply delete this, right? All you need to do, bring in a card visual, right? Once you have your card visual, come to the DIM product, drop the model here. So you have Galaxy A55, but this is not what we want to show. We want to show the model with the highest revenue generated. So on these filters, drop the model again on the filters. Now, instead of basic filtering, change this to top N. Top N should be top one. Then we want to look at this by the revenue generated, expand our KPI, come to revenue generated and click on apply. So this will only show the revenue, the name of the brand that generated most, and the name of the model that generated the most revenue for that brand, right? So I'll close the filters, come to format, put off the category label, come to color value, just change this to area, make this, let's see, 18, right? So we have the Z Fold 6. I'll simply just drop this here. Okay, so um, I'll make a copy of this, right? This is a copy of what I'll make. Then instead of having first model here, I'll replace it with revenue generated, right? Then I'll come to format, call out value. I'll change this to none. Then decimal places is already none. What thing I'll do, the revenue generated, I'll come and format it to dollars, right? So you have something like this. So this is the revenue generated by the Z Fold 6. So I'll simply bring this here, right? So um, we need to add titles to this. So ideally, we can actually put on the title here, put on the title and simply say model name, or yeah, so instead of saying model name, top model by brand, right? Which is the top model, the model that generates most of the revenue, right? I'll centralize this. Also this, I'll put on the title and say revenue. So this should be revenue generated, right? So this is the revenue generated by the top model by the brand, by that particular brand. So now on this table, I'll come to format, general, effects, put off the background. Make sure I don't have any colors. So you have the top model by the brand, right? Revenue generated by that top model. So down here also, down here, we want to have the features, we want to display the features of that particular brand we have selected. We want to display the features. So this same card, I'll make a copy of it. Notice that I'm making a copy of this same card, this very card I have before now. I'll just place it here, right? Now I'm going to uncheck the model. That's the first model, right? Remember the filters also apply. but it applies by revenue generated, right? So now I'm going to come to the dim model image and I'm going to select, let's say network. So this is network. So the title for this will be network. So this should be network, right? I'll make a copy of this again. I think I have 6 features to display here. So eventually I'll reduce the size. This should be area also. I'll reduce the size to 12. Then come to visual callout value, probably reduce the size to 16, right? 16 should be fine. So I have the network, right? Let's quickly look at, okay, we'll come back there. So I'll make a copy of this. I'll change this from network, right? This shouldn't be looking at network anymore. We want to look at the RAM. So we have the RAM. So this is no longer network. Effect title, this is RAM, right? I'll make another copy of this. So this is no longer looking at RAM, rather we should be looking at security. Security. Um, so security is actually, what is it called? Side fingerprint. So the title for this should be security, right? I'll make another copy from this. I'll drop it here, right? So this should no longer be looking at should not be looking at RAM. We should be looking at storage size, right? This is the storage size. Then I'll simply just make another copy here again. Okay, so I want check operating system, right? Then uncheck for the last one, last features. Then what other feature do we have here? We can actually add the display, or if we don't want the display, we can just add the CPU. We have to reduce the size eventually. Or camera also. Yeah, you can add the camera. So you can add the camera also. I think I have about 6 features here. So this is what? This is looking at the storage, right? So the title for this should actually be the storage. So this should be storage. Why this should be looking at operating system. That's the OS. Why this should be looking at the camera. Okay, so this should be looking at the camera also. So these are the features, right? For this particular brand we have selected, this particular model when we select the Samsung. So if we switch from Samsung, say we select the Apple, everything here changes to the Apple, right? We need to format this, please. We need to bring this down here, bring this down here, bring this down here, bring this down here. Make sure it's well arranged so we have the Apple, everything in place. Also, we need to take this up. We need to take this up. So this is actually telling you that the top model for Apple is actually the iPhone 15 Pro and revenue generated is 903, right? We can actually switch from Apple and go to OnePlus. Everything changes to OnePlus, right? If we go from OnePlus and we go to Xiaomi, everything changes also. The features changes, right? Let's say to Google, OnePlus, Android, that's Samsung. So if we come to Apple again, you see the RAM changes, the OS changes, everything changes. The camera also changes. Google, the camera changes, the security changes, everything changes. So you get to see the features of the phone. It's more like you're looking at the top model, right? Then you look at the features, you see the features, see the revenue generated, you see the features. Now you can also change the color. We have that already. You can change the color and look at it across different colors. You can actually format this much more further to your taste. So with this, we're done with this section. So what I have here, right? What I have here, if I still have that link open, if you look at my report, so this is what I have here. Also storage, RAM, battery. Okay, yeah, the features are also there. You can choose the features you want. So what I have here is actually the Gartner Magic Quadrant for brands, right? Since I'm using zoom chart here, I can actually drill down here also, but we're not going to be doing this. We're using the native visuals. So what I have here is the Gartner Magic Quadrant. I came up with this because a time ago I saw a visual online, right? If you come online and look at the Gartner um, Magic Quadrant, you see that for different visualization tools. I saw it for different visualization tools. You see it for a lot of brands, right? Trying to compare different brands. So if you look at this, for example, let's see this. Okay, so we can actually look at this for, let's say, you can see for cloud providers, right? So this is looking at different cloud providers. You see the different cloud providers. You see them here. Why is this not giving me? Okay, I think I'll prefer to look at it across the different visualization tool, right? Okay, let's say business intelligence. So look at it across the business, different business intelligence. We can look at it, select it. So this is how the Gartner's Magic Quadrant works. So I wanted to implement that, which that's what I wanted. I wanted to implement the same thing. I don't know why it's not opening the network or something. So I wanted to implement, you can look at it here. I wanted to implement this same thing. I'm using the different phone brands. You can look at the different visualization tool here, right? Look at it here. You can look at QTech, SAS, just like that. Then let's come and look at what we have here. Amazon services. This is the opening. I can't seem to get it open. But that's the logic behind it, right? Okay, yeah. So look at using the Gartner Magic Quadrant, analytics and business intelligence, Google Cloud Blog. You can look at them here, Zoho, Good Data, SAS. So you can see challengers, leaders, visionaries, niche players, and all that. So using this, I wanted to create the same thing for the different brand we have here. So what we simply do now is get the scatter chart, right? Bring in the scatter chart here. Okay, just resize very quick. So on the x-axis, let's come to our visual here. On the x-axis, we're actually going to have the average price, while on the y-axis, we're going to have the units sold, total units sold. So on the x-axis, we already have a KPI for the average price. We'll bring it on the x-axis. Then the units sold, I'm going to bring the total units sold on the y-axis. Very importantly, I'm going to make sure that this doesn't interact. So I'll simply say format, edit interaction, don't interact with this also. Now, I'm going to make sure that I bring in the brands, the different brands on the legend. So I will expand dim product, bring in the brands, drop it on the legend. So you get to see the different brands, but we've not gotten what we wanted. I'll simply come to format, turn off the legend for now, right? So you can see the different brands, but we've not been able to achieve what I have on the other side. So on the x-axis, right, I'll simply make sure this is formatted to okay, so we have this is fine. So let's look at the y-axis. The maximum value we have on the y-axis is actually 4,395, right? So we can set our minimum to be 3,000 also manually and set our maximum to be 4,500. So we can have everything covered, right? We can have the different brands covered. So let's quickly format this to make it make sense, like what we want. I'll put on the category label so you get to see the different brand, right? The markers, I'll simply come increase the size of the markers so you see the different brands clearly. Now we then need to set our what is it called now? Our constants, right? So I'll come to the analyzer here. That's add further analysis to your visual. So we want to set in the y-axis constant line. We'll add this line. So for the constant line for the x-axis, we want to bring in the average price, which is the average price. So calculations, KPI, we bring in the average price, right? So this is the constant for the x-axis. We also need to bring in the constant for the y-axis also. So I don't want this to be dash. I want it to be a solid line, and I want it to be probably a gray color, right? And also, what else? I think that's all. The line width should be 2. Okay, so we also then need to add a constant for the y-axis, add a constant for the y-axis. The constant for the y-axis actually needs to be the average of the units sold by the different brands, right? So for that, we're simply going to use this measure instead. So average of the units sold. So we're simply dividing the total units sold by 5, which is the 5 different brands. It's a very simple measure. So we'll create this measure here. Just right click on our KPI, new measure, and the units sold, we divide that by 5, which is the units sold divided by 5. Okay, so once you have that measure in place, we then need to set that measure as our y constant. So this is now looking at our KPI, average units sold, and click on OK. So we have our constant here. So the same thing we'll do. This should be a solid line, and the width should be 2. Also, it should be a gray color, right? So now, finally, you can see that Samsung, we're losing Samsung. The minimum is 400. The maximum should be 1,090. So we can make it 1,000, let's say 1,200, right? So what we need to do, come back to our visuals, right? Come back to format, come back to the y-axis, not x-axis now. Change this to be 400 manually, and let's make this 1,200 so we can have everything covered. So we have Samsung here. So we have everything here. So what do we need to do? We just simply need to turn off the grid lines. We don't need the grid lines. And also come to general effects, turn off the background. Also for the grid lines, right? Turn off both vertical and horizontal. We don't need any of them. So this is actually the Gartner's magic quadrant we have already. You can see Apple is on the side where we can call them um, the premium leaders, value champ, weak performer, and niche premium. So I'll simply go here and copy what I have there. It's just the text box you need to insert to bring that in here. So um, I'll copy this, right? It's just a text box, nothing more. I'll simply just copy the 3 of them. That's 4 of them actually. Don't mind me. So I'll copy the 4, just paste them here, right? We have them right where we want them to be. So you can easily tell that Apple is the premium leader, right? Apple is the premium leader, while OnePlus is the value champ. Then we have the weak performer and the niche premium also. This is just an analysis of the brand. You can rename this properly. Make sure this is well placed and formatted also. So, okay. So make sure this is well placed and formatted. You also have to rename this, right? The title I have here is actually title Gartner's Magic Quadrant. I'll simply give it the same title here. Select general title, give it the same title, right? Okay, so with this, we're actually done with page 2, but there's something we also need to note, right? Now we have OnePlus selected. Let's say the first brand is Apple. Select this, right? Select this slicer, come to format, this slicer, come to slicer settings, selection, single select. We must have a brand selected, right? So for now, we have Apple selected. We're currently looking at units sold, for example. We have Apple selected, units sold, no month selected. What do we need to do? If you remember, so what we need to do in this case is simply come to view, bookmarks, and add another bookmark and call this bookmark reset page 2. Reset page 2. So what we simply need to do is select these clear all slicers, change the action from reset page 1 to reset page 2, right? Remember to add what you have here for the first page too. So if, for example, I select something that doesn't look cool, see, doesn't look cool, I can just hit my clear all slicers, reset everything, and I have everything back to normal. Also, if I select a particular month, right, I need to also make sure that this month slicer this month slicer, format, edit interaction, doesn't have any business with scatter chart we have here also. So with this, we're done with page 2 of the report. It's as simple as this. We're done with page 2 of the report. Now you can select a particular month. Remember, regardless of the month you select, this product is actually the best-selling product for Apple. It's the product that generated most of the revenue for Apple overall. So it's displaying the product that generated the highest revenue for that particular brand. So you can look at May, it's the iPhone 15 Pro. June, it's the iPhone 15 Pro. Okay, it's second, but overall, oh, we're looking at units sold actually. Sorry, we're looking at units sold. So let's go to revenue generated actually. So revenue generated, you can actually see iPhone SE 15 Pro is next. So for that month actually, but overall, when you don't have a particular month selected, the iPhone 15 Pro generated most of the revenue for that brand. You can change to another brand also, and you see the revenue generated by that brand and the particular model. So with this, we're done with page 2. Remember to rename your page 2. This is no longer executive summary. This is actually looking at brand performance. Brand performance. So down here, I'll just rename this to brand performance. Okay, so for your color choice, right, you can actually use the colors for Apple, for Samsung, for Google, Xiaomi. Use the same color for what you have on the scatter chart and also use the same color for the line chart. You can see my colors are actually matched in this scenario. That's why I just left them like that. But you can actually change your colors if you want to. So quickly, let's proceed to page 3 of the report. So before we proceed to page 3, there's something I want us to also just quickly achieve here. Remember, you can actually format these, make them look better, right? But for these colors we have here, right? We can't actually tell what's going on here. We can't actually tell. We just have B, B, G, G, W, and R. So we want to do a quick formatting here. So one thing we're quickly going to do is just right click on our calculations. We want to create a measure that changes the color, right? That changes the color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to our model color, our parameter for our model color. You can actually see that the first color is actually black, second color is blue, green, white, red. Based on the order, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have black, blue, green, white, red. So black. So I'm just going to copy this so I don't make any mistake. Okay. Now I'm going to right click and say I want to create a new measure. Sorry, I'm not doing this. I want to create a new measure. So this measure I want to create, I simply want to call it color or color, right? Now this is what I want to do. I want to say switch. I want to call on the switch function and I'll simply say selected value. So when the selected value of our what now? Model, that's our model color order, right? That's our model color order. If the order is simply 1, comma, 1 is what again? Black. I'll simply say black. If the order is 2, 2 is what again? Blue. I'll simply say blue. If the order is what again? 3. So 1 is not black actually. It's 0. It starts from 0. So 0, blue. So this is 1. Okay, blue. Then next I'll say if it's 2, then what is the color? Green. Then if it's 3, what is the color? If it's 3, please, what is the color? White. Then if it's the last color is actually red. So we can say if it's 4, the color should be red. Else the color should be no. Or we can actually just say, oh, we can actually just say gray, right? I can say something like this, and I'll close the bracket, right? So what I would have loved to do is to use the color code, right? Use the color code instead of just spelling out the colors like that. But I quickly want to see what will happen. So when I select this slicer, collapse this, come to format, come to call out, come to buttons now, and say state. It's all normal. So fill. So for the fill, I'll click on the conditional formatting. I'll say it should be based on field value. Now I'll say it should be based on the calculations, the color we created, and I'll click on OK. Let's see what happens. So you can actually see now that we have black, blue. This is supposed to be green, then white, red. But I want to make sure that we spelled the green well. Green. So the best thing to do, actually, to be honest, is to get the color code you actually want this to appear as, right? To get the color code you want it to appear as. So what I'll simply do, I'll quickly come insert a shape here. I don't want this video to be long anymore. So this shape, I'll color this shape. So I'm okay with black, right? Then this is blue, but I want this shade of blue, for example. I want this shade of blue, so I'll copy the color code for this shade of blue, right? I'll copy the color code, Control C. I'll simply go back to the measure and replace this blue with that color code I copied now, right? Come out of that. I'm not getting what I want, so let me go back and check. Please, I need to verify. Am I sure that's the color code I have? So yeah, B is attached to it, so I need to remove the B. Okay, so you can actually see is the blue color I wanted that have gotten. So what I'll do next is select this shape again, go for the green color code I want, green, say I want this color green, right? I want this code, I'll copy this code for the green, Control C, simply navigate to the colors and replace the green here. Okay, so this is the color green, so I have green, I can have green here. Why is taking long? So 2 is actually green, right? 0 is black. I'm supposed to have green here. Okay, green is selected. Yes, so green is actually selected. That's why we're having black. But that's fine. So we have white, we have red. So you can actually do the same thing for color red. White is white. So this is just to give an idea to the user. If you select black, this is going to eventually turn to green. So it's simply saying you have black. So you can actually just play around it. You have blue selected. You have green. You have white. You have, what is it called? Red selected. So one thing I also did, right, was I selected these buttons also. Come to format, buttons. Remember, we said, so when we change the state from to when it's selected, we still can apply the same field and say this field, conditional formatting, say use the feed value and also use the color and click on OK. So you can see now that you don't really know which one is selected. You don't know, you can't tell which one is selected as of the moment. You can't tell. You only know that the color changes up here. But one thing I did was just to bring in a circle, just to insert a shape. Says just bring in a circle, not this, please. I can change the shape here to let's say peel, not peel. I'll simply just delete this. Insert and bring in a oval shape, right? I'll bring in an oval shape, please. Then reduce this size, just bring it here, make it stay on its own here. Make sure the size is actually same, right? If it's necessary. But basically what I'm trying to achieve here is I want this shape to be here to tell me what I have selected. So if I select this shape, I'll come to style, I'll click on the conditional formatting for the field here. I'll simply say field value and also give the same color and click on OK. So this shape gives me an idea of what is selected. style, I'll turn off the border. So now I have white selected. So if I come to black, the shape changes to black, tell me black is selected. So that's just one fix I wanted us to add to the page 2 of the report. So I'll save this. Next, I'll just right click on brand performance, make a duplicate so we can go to page 3 of the report. So for page 3 also, we're not going to be doing much. I'm just going to remove all this, right? I'm going to leave you to just take charge of the page 3 of the report. Just need this out. So quickly, I'm going to change the background again. Come to Canvas settings, background changes, replace it with font 2. That's font 3 now. I hope it's font 3. I'm not so sure. Okay, I'm not so sure what page 3 looks like. I'm sure it's not what I have here. This is actually not page 3. So let me quickly resave page 3, the background image for page 3. So I'll come to PowerPoint. Remember, you have this PowerPoint. You also have it on the OneDrive. So I'll come to PowerPoint. I'll simply locate. Okay, this is it. I'll make a duplicate. This is it. I'll just remove this from here and Control Z. I'll expand this down here a bit. And I'll save this. Just take a snippet of this. Snapping to long process. Okay, so I'll save this somewhere so I can bring it to Power BI. So this should be phone 4. I'll simply close this, navigate back to my Power BI so I can bring in the background image. So I'm going to leave you to take charge of page 4, right? But page 4 is quite simple. You really don't need to do much. This is looking at the brand, right? This is looking at the brand. So I'll simply replace this from model. I'll change this back to brand. So we're looking at the brand. Now, these filters we have here, this slicer that is saying select brand, we're going to uncheck the brand and replace it with a location, which is select country. So this is no longer select brand, it's select country. So I wanted this page of the report to speak to the different locations, right? You select the particular locations, you look at your performance across that location. That's what I wanted to achieve with this page of the report. So the current country we have selected is Bangladesh. So we're looking at the revenue generated by the different brand when you select Bangladesh, right? So also make a copy of this, right? But we're not going to be using our KPI. Remember, we're still using our KPI. We're not going to be using our KPI in this place. We're just going to remove this and replace this with average price, right? Average price. So for the different brands in Bangladesh, we want to know the price, right? For the different brand. That's basically what I did here. Then here, if you come here, you can see what I did is just revenue generated by the storage type. um, that's the storage size, the revenue generated by the sales channel. We already have this already. We also have this already. You can just, this is revenue generated by the customer, um, the different group and gender. So basically, it's repeating the same thing, but it gives you an overview to what you're seeing for that particular location. So I can come here and just copy everything I have here like this, make a copy of it, and come to the region performance and just paste it here and bring it down here, right? So this is speaking to Bangladesh right now, right? Same thing for the visuals you need to have here. So I can come back here. I can come back to the page 1, please, and just select these two visuals. Control C. I can come back here and just paste this here, right? Resize. But I'm no longer looking at so yeah, sales channel. payment type. I think for one of them, I'm not looking at sales. I'm not looking at payment type. Rather, I'm looking at the what they're looking for, the product they're actually looking for in terms of size, right? That's what I have here. So think storage size also, something like this. So when you select a particular location, you get to see the details across that location. While here, I actually have the map, right? If you come here, you see I have the map. But I was able to achieve this using the Zoom chart. I tried using the native Power BI chart, the chart I have in the map visuals I have in Power BI. I didn't really get what I wanted, but another idea just popped into my head, right? So instead of having a map here, why don't we try the tree map, right? Remember to format these also. Why don't we try the tree map? So basically we have the tree map here, right? Then we simply can just add our city, come to location, add our city to the category. Then for the values, we can come add our KPI to the values, right? So you can actually format this. We can come to format, turn on the data label, expand this, change this to area, increase the size to say 20, right? Right? So format the colors also. I'm very sure you can format the category label is on. Is it possible to format the colors? Yes, you can format the colors for the different um, region. Now look at how it looks like. You're looking at the revenue generated, right? In Bangladesh, then the revenue generated by the different city in Bangladesh, right? You can actually select the city here and everything filters to that city, right? So you can select another country, India, and everything changes also. You can select another country, Turkey, and everything changes. So this is how you can go ahead and create a report. Remember, what you need to do, you can say you want to stay in Bangladesh as the overview, as the first page. This is everything will be filtered to Bangladesh for now. And you can simply say, come to your bookmark again, right? Add the bookmark and say um, reset, just say reset, what's going on? Reset page 3, right, which is page 3, and I can select clear all slicers here and replace the bookmark to reset page 3. Okay, I can come to view and check my bookmarks. So so when you have you can select another region, select any other thing, select units sold, right? You can select a particular brand, then you just hit your reset or clear all slicers, everything resets. You can also add some more slicers, but remember to edit interaction when necessary. So finally, this page is actually named region performance. Then finally, remember to bring in your page navigator, right? Remember to bring in your page navigator. So come to insert, buttons, navigator, page navigator, and you can simply bring in your page navigator here. You can format this, right? We've done this in some other videos before now. Shape, you can make it round a bit. So you have something like this. You can format it to when it's selected. You can obviously tell that we are on overview page right now. So if I make a copy of this and come to brand performance, and simply paste this here, you can see that we are on brand performance. And finally, if I come to the last page of the report and I simply paste this here, you can see that we are actually on region performance. So what's going on? Paste. You can see we are on region performance. So remember to name this. This is no longer looking at brand performance. So this is looking at region performance. I think what I'll do is say region performance. So one thing I'll always say, you can optimize this report. You can add some other stuff of your own. You can add some other things you feel I missed out, right? You can add some other things you feel I missed out on. But this is just my submission for um, the data DNA challenge. And this is everything I did. And that's how I came up with my analysis. With this, we're done with the end of this video. we've come to the end of the video. Remember, everything you need, the data set, the background image, the PowerPoint for the background image, and the Word documents for some of the measures we use, everything is actually on the OneDrive attached to the video description. So thank you very much. If this video was helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, click on the notification to always stay updated when new videos like this are updated, and hit the like button. Thank you. Bye.